Today, we're going to take a more in-depth look at OBS and how to build a scene for it. And if you're wondering what I mean by a scene, also people will call it a layout for your stream. This is my layout right here. This is what I usually use. That bottom corner is usually another panel than just the same panel as the other. And so you'll see the game is over here. I'll have another panel down there. And then just below me in this gray box is where my chat goes. So that's my layout, but I want to show you how to build your own layout for your personality and for your stream. So of course, in order to do that, we are going to need to start in OBS. In OBS, of course, I've gone through and erased it again. So we have just the default scene here. If you need help as far as installing OBS and all that, the eye icon up above now will have all that good information for you as far as getting OBS started. Now we're going to actually dig a little further into it. So what we'll do is we'll name this scene. So by default, it names it scene, but we can right click it and click rename, and we'll name it gaming screen. Just something so that you'll know what it is. So gaming screen. So in order to have a gaming screen, we're gonna need a couple of things, but right now, as we can see, it's just a black background. There's a lot of places you can get overlays and layouts from. There's paid websites like Own3D. There is StreamClass, which is also another program that you can use to stream, but it also has a paid version of the program where you get to use a bunch of different layouts within it automatically. Since we're in OBS, we don't get those per se. It is something that if you paid for StreamClass, you could still download them into StreamClass and then import them into OBS, which I may do a separate video on that just so that you can see what exactly I mean by that. But for this, what we're going to use is Stream Elements. That's actually what I currently use, not for that layout, but for a lot of different things that I have in my stream. It is Stream Elements. So it's just simply going to streamelements.com. It'll have you sign in with your Twitch account, and this is what you'll see. So in this page, we'll go over to streaming tools and we'll go to overlays gallery. Here we can see so many different options of overlays. So we have here just the ones that are being promoted. So Japan Traditional Ink stream overlays, the anime, the one that just passed, these Pride animated overlays, lots of different ones in that featured section. If we keep going, we can see a lot of different other ones. If you play Knockout City, for example, there's a Knockout animated super theme, and basically it'll kind of look like Knockout City. It'll have the same colors and themes that Knockout City has. Then you have more of these, not simplistic per se, but more of a default one that doesn't necessarily have to fit a game. So you have like red flare and blue flare. Blue moonstone is something that I feel like I see a lot of people use, something similar to the blue moonstone there. But it's all about what you want. So some of them you can actually search for the game that you're playing. League of Legends has one. This one, it says that it's static, so it's not going to be animated. Keep that in mind. But there's different games that actually have different themes made for them. Or you can go with something that's just kind of generic so that it can fit whatever game you're playing. So that would be probably the best place to start if you're going to be a variety streamer, if you're not going to stick to like one game of like playing Knockout City every time you're streaming. It would probably be best to start with one of the generic ones. So I'm just kind of still going through until I find one that'll kind of give us a good example here. The tip I will say is definitely look for it to say animated in the tags. That's just my preference. You don't have to have it animated, but like how this one has the animated orange button here, lets us know that the overlay itself is going to move. Now, obviously in this video, the overlay is not moving. It's just me and the screen. But I personally like it to move. If you don't want it to move, then still look for animated and avoid it when you see one that says animated. So the neon overlay, as we can see, this is kind of an example of what would happen. So we have our different alerts here. You can put a place for your social medias. I'm going to assume this is the chat. And then here you can kind of have a different view. Not sure, I guess this would be chat still over here. And it just shows a bunch of different things. So we'll go, once you pick out the one that you want, you'll create your overlay. And then as you can see, it's going to give you these different links. So this is each of the different pages that we just saw back there. So we'll go ahead and click go to overlays. And let's say for our gaming one, we're going to use this one. So this is going to be our gaming overlay. You can start the tour if you'd like. We're going to kind of walk through it, so we won't necessarily do that. But here is the overlay. You can change different things if you want things to be different for it here. There's like this music note here that seems to be transparent. If things are transparent, you can kind of click on them and see if it'll show you what it is exactly. Or if not, you may actually have to click over on this side to see exactly what it is. So like this one, the live on air, if you look up here at the top corner, that's this one. So if I were to turn it visible, you would see that it kind of brightens up a little bit. We've got DJ animation, so that's the top left. The headphones are all the way at the top right. The music note animation was the one I was pointing at right there. And then just, yeah, so that's all the stuff there. This one is just letting you know that you can download other animations at this link. So they have other graphics that fit this theme's look. Once you have everything the way that you want it, you can just click and drag on everything on this page. You can emulate how the alert box will look. So this is the alert box here. Basically when someone follows the channel, or if you're an affiliate or higher, when someone subscribes to the channel or gives bits to the channel, or even donations without being affiliate. So follows, donations, that kind of stuff will pop up in your alert box. So if you want it over to the side like this, you can keep it here. If you want it in the middle, you can drag it to the middle. And then once you want to see what it looks like, you can go here and emulate it and emulate a follower event, and it'll show you right there. So that's what a follow to the channel is going to look like in this overlay. Once you have everything the way you want it, you'll go ahead and save it. Once you have it saved, you'll click on this here, this little chain link, and it's going to copy the URL of this page. Basically, this is a website essentially that is being harbored for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over here into this. We're going to go to a browser source. So I'll click on that again. So in your sources down here at the bottom left, you'll click the plus sign. And the one we're looking for specifically to add that overlay is a browser source. We'll type in game overlay. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and paste that link. And then what you want to do by default with most of your browser sources is the width. You'll make it 1920. Oh, I don't have the numbers on anymore. There we go. 1920. And the height will be 1080. That's just a good default to keep in mind for it. I actually probably could have done the alternate, which I can't remember the numbers for at the moment. But what we'll do now that we can see it's a lot larger than the screen is we'll go to transform and we'll fit to screen. And so there we have everything that was within that layout. So the alerts are here, the chat is here, all of those things are gonna pop up on the screen. Yeah, so it's kind of small down there, but you can see that my message is in the chat now. I don't know if this will work for the follow. There it is. So now you can see that Champ Rule is now following this channel. Over here on the left side, it's updated. The latest follower is Champ Rule. So for this channel, it now knows, you know, because of me going in and following right there, it's going to post that. Now, for this channel that I'm using is not an affiliate. It is not a partner. It is a basic channel. So it will not have cheers and it will not have subscribers. So those If you want to remove those, you can go back to the browser source and erase it in the settings for that page. Tippers is something that this channel is still eligible for because it's not a part of the Twitch channel. That's a part of wherever you're going to source it. So a lot of people will actually source that through Stream Elements. There is a way in Stream Elements to set up a tipping page for people to be able to use. Here, you would go into that to be able to change your different socials. So if you click, you can kind of get to it that way. And as you can see, it's opened up this here to where I can click on each one. So for username, we'll do, which one was that? YouTube. So we'll click on YouTube username and settings. And here we can change it to the actual username, whatever it's going to be, whatever your actual username is going to be. You can just go ahead and change it there. Once you make any changes, again, don't forget to go up to the top right and save it, because if we go back right now, it's not going to have that reflection. It just shows YouTube as username still. But if we go up here and save it, then it will reflect over here. And now it says actual username. This will kind of replicate for you how you would set up a game capture, just a basic game capture on this scene. So what we would normally do, or what I would do, so it depends on what kind of streams you're going to do. If you're going to stream off of the same computer where you're playing, a lot of people will use game capture. Game capture is basically going to automatically detect if you are playing a game on that system and will use it in OBS. If you're playing off of a different PC and you're using what's called a capture card, or if you're playing off of a console, you're going to need a capture card. So if you're playing off of a Switch or a PlayStation or an Xbox, you'll need a capture card, and you would plug that into the computer. When you have it plugged into the computer, what you would do instead is a video capture device. I do not have a capture card plugged into this demo computer right now, so we won't be hitting that. We'll hit display capture actually, and we'll use that as our test, kind of as we did in the previous video. I will need to go into settings and make sure to hide OBS from the video capture so that it will make more sense. But now you can see, if I go out of this page in Firefox, if I go back over here, what you can see is that currently all of that different overlay stuff that we worked on is no longer visible. So if we look down here at sources, this is why. We have our display capture, which is just covering the entire screen of the computer above that game overlay that we just created. So what we would do is click on either one and just drag the game overlay above the display capture, or vice versa. Drag the display capture below the game overlay. And so that way it has the game overlay on top. Everything that was black or translucent on that on this page here is just not going to exist. So instead of having that, we get to see through it, and we see everything else on our page. So in this instance, we're seeing the rest of the website. So we still have the chat down below at the bottom. We still have, you know, the latest follower, all of that stuff. Last thing to add at this point would be a camera. For this, in my personal preference, well, first to add the camera, you're gonna go to video capture device and add camera. We're just gonna use the built-in webcam of the computer here. And what we'll do is we'll make it smaller, and we'll also crop it. So in order to crop things, if you hold down Alt while you're dragging, it will actually crop for you. And so we'll just kind of crop the edges that we don't want, and we can place it up above the chat. So now if we let go of that, we can actually do a full screen preview of what this all looks like. So here's essentially what is happening. I'm not sure why it blurred out. Oh, because it's freaking out because we're on that. Okay, so ignore the mouse thing that's happening, and ignore the blur that is happening to the website. But basically, this is what our overlay looks like. So we have the camera above our chat, which I'll type in chat again so that you can see. It should pop up. Yeah, it's up over there. You can kind of see it. We've got all of our alerts and things. The follower alerts would pop up on the screen. Again, ignore the blur. That's just because it's looking at itself, and so that's kind of confusing it. So we'll actually go ahead and go out of that. But that is essentially what you would see. In order to build the other scenes that we saw, so when we were on the page here, we can actually see that not only is there that one, but there's like one for be right back. So if you need to take a quick bathroom break while you're streaming, you can put up this be right back screen. So we'll go ahead and copy this link like we did the first one. We'll go back to OBS. We'll go over here to the bottom left and hit the plus under scenes. And we'll name this one Be Right Back, or whatever you want to name it. Again, we have another blank canvas on here. We're going to hit the plus for sources again. We'll add a browser source, and we'll make this one BRB screen, or BRB overlay. We'll come in here, we'll erase that, we'll paste the link we got. And again, I've understood my woes, so I will reframe this one as 1280 over 720. And so that'll be the right size for me. And as we can see, everything will pop up here. And we can see that, it doesn't look quite the same. And so it's like, why doesn't it? And so we can look at a couple of things and see what may be happening. And if we take a look, we can see that it's not the same size. So what we'll actually need to do, and that was a test, I didn't do that on purpose. That was a test to see if you were going to follow along. We will need to make it the 1920 1080 just for it to be the right size. And then we would go in and transform and fit to screen. Now, the alternative of doing that is if you want to have it be a 1080 stream, you can do that in your settings. It's not something that I recommend for a lot of people, just because it is going to take up a lot more of the processing power and everything with the computer. But basically, when you go into settings, you can go to video here, and it'll ask you what your base canvas resolution and your output scaled resolution is. You can change your base canvas to 1080 and then just have your scaled to 720. That's going to use a lot less on the processor also by doing it that way. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, you can just do that in here. Make sure you apply it and hit OK, and it'll do it that way. But for now, we're going to do it this way. And so you see we have our Be Right Back screen and we have our game screen. So if I want to switch between the two, I can do it over here by clicking on these two things. And a quote unquote advanced thing that you can do is in settings, there's things called hotkeys. So a lot of people will get Stream Decks, which Stream Decks are absolutely very useful. They're just a little pricey. And so I do not currently have one, but what you can see here is if we go into settings into hotkeys, we have an option to be able to switch to the scene. So for example, for me, I know that F6 and F7 don't do anything on my keyboard, at least on the programs that I use. So for Be Right Back, I can have that as F7, and so I'll just hit the F7 key while I click on that. And then for the game, I can have that as F6. I can hit apply, I can hit OK. And so now I'm on the BRB screen, and instead of having to go over here with my mouse to click to get to the other scene, I can simply hit F6 on the keyboard and it will take me to the gaming screen. Vice versa, I can hit F7 if I need to take a quick restroom break, and here we are on the BRB screen. It's just that simple. It's actually something that I use on my stream, as I have F6, F7, F8, F12, F1, F4, F2, F3. All of those are programmed to something. I just make sure that I don't ever hit like Alt while I'm hitting F4, for example. But all of them are tied to a different thing that can happen on my stream. Again, Stream Decks are great. If you have it in your budget to get a Stream Deck, you can do that also. The Stream Deck will work with OBS, and so instead of having function keys, you would basically use a button on your Stream Deck. So instead of an F6, it would be like your top left button would take you to the appropriate screen that you would need. But this is essentially I'll call it the crash course of getting everything set up as far as an overlay. So it's just kind of picking and choosing through a website or a provider. So things again like Own3D, Streamlabs, StreamElements, all of these different places. Nerd or Die is also another one. Picking through, seeing what you want to use. If it's a paid option, paying for it, obviously. If it's a free resource like StreamElements, just downloading it. Or in this case, going to the URL, getting it put into your stream, configuring it the way you want it, configuring your camera the way you want it, adding the different features or different text that you want for each different component, and then how to break down between the scenes here. Each scene having its own separate sources and whatnot. In the next video, what I'm thinking I want to cover with you guys is audio. So audio is something that I have noticed a lot with my friends when it comes to streaming, as something that can be rather confusing when starting out. Definitely confusing for me also when I started out. I got this microphone specifically that I use. It's an Elgato Wave 3, just to even clear up even more of the confusion that I was already having. But even without having something like this or some of the other things that we'll go into in that video, it's something that I just want to definitely address so that we can kind of see where these issues may be coming in with the different audio sources for everybody. So definitely, if that's something that you are needing to see yourself, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way, when the video does release, you will know about it. And until next time, hopefully you have a happy and healthy stream.